Let's not get to the complex ICs. Let's start with the basic IC in our lab. That is 7805 voltage regulator IC. The voltage source in a circuit may have fluctuations, resulting in not providing fixed voltage output. A voltage regulator IC maintains the output voltage at a constant value. Let's talk about 7805. A 7805 voltage regulator is a member of 78XX series of fixed linear voltage regulation, which is used to maintain such fluctuations, which is a more popular voltage regulator IC. The XX in 78XX indicates the output voltage which it provides. If it is 7805, it means it provides a plus 5 volts of regulated power supply with provisions to add a heatsink to it. Let's talk about pins. The 7805 do have 3 pins. The pin number 1, that is input voltage ranging from 7 volt to 35 volts. And the range of the current is 1 ampere. And the output voltage is approximately 5.2 volts and minimum 4.8 volts. So there are 3 pins. The 3 pins are input, grounds and output. You can connect it in the supply to regulate the voltage up to 5 volts. Let's make our first circuit of 7805. So I will start with a 9 volt supply, which will be further regulated to 5 volt through 7805 IC. I'll use a breadboard so the circuit looks easier to you. I'm dragging at the center. I can rotate this battery with this by rotating it with this button. So the positive goes to the positive and the negative goes to the negative. Before I connect the positive to positive, negative, negative, I'll use a diode. You know why I use a diode? Because the current should be unidirectional. So I'll directly connect this diode where this is anode and this is cathode. So positive to positive, and then I can complete the circuit with this positive terminal. So the current will flow, but it won't flow in opposite direction. This is the reason why I have connected a diode here. We have learned in previous session that the diode is a unidirectional component. Now I need a 7805 voltage regulator IC. So I have to search here. Just you can directly search 7805 and be able to see a 5 volt regulator IC. So if you see carefully, the first one is the input voltage, second one is the ground, and third one is the output voltage. We need a capacitor so that a constant regulation of 5 volt is needed. So I'll use the first capacitor at input part and second capacitor at the output part so that we can maintain a constant voltage across the circuit. Now let's have a ground here. So I'll use a ground to the breadboard and I have now supplied my sources. I have to give an input voltage to the input, that is a 9 voltage which is acting here as an input voltage, and I need a 5 volt output which will be using a multimeter to check whether it is a 5 volt or not. So I'll have to start with 5 volt. So let's connect this input to the 9 volt. So I'm connecting the input to the 9 volt of supply, and I'll be using this capacitor as parallel to the circuit. So the positive part and to the ground. So I'll connect the ground to the ground, and then I can easily jump this ground to the lower part of the breadboard, so I can easily connect. I don't need to jump it over and over. So I've connected the ground to ground. I can make this color as a black so you'll be able to understand this is ground, and I can make it this color to red so you can understand this is positive. So I have connected the input part, which is I, that is 9 volt, and I have connected this ground to the ground with the capacitor. So the capacitor will save the current and the charges here so that it can regulate properly. Similarly at the output part, I'll do the same. For the output part, I can directly connect the output part to any of the leg here. I can connect the regulator. I can connect this LED so that positive will go to positive and with the resistor I can connect it to negative. So at the output I'm using a LED to turn it on. So 9 volt is now regulated to 5 volt. So to check the circuit, I will be using a multimeter, but the second capacitor is not yet connected. Let's finish the capacitance. So ground will get connected to the ground, and the other part will go to the positive part. This is how I have completed my circuit. So there are two capacitors, one at input and one at output, which is allowing a constant supply of voltage. Input is 9 volt, and let's check whether the output is 5 volt. Let's start the simulation. The LED started glowing. Let's check the voltage across the circuit. I'll be using a multimeter, so you can directly search multimeter. You can directly drag it here, one at the input and one at the output. Let's check the input voltage by connecting positive to the positive and negative to the negative. Let's start the simulation. So it is approximately 8.40 volt because this diode is having a resistance to it. So it is 8.40 volt at the input. It's not exactly 9 volt, or we can say it's approximately 9 volt. Now talking about the output. So now to check the output voltage, I'll connect the ground to the ground here or somewhere here, and positive to the output positive potential. So this is the output potential. I can directly connect it here. I can directly connect it here too. It depends upon you. So I'll directly connect it here or here. Now let's check the terminal. If you see this, I'm having 8.40 volt input, and with the help of the 7805 voltage regulator IC, I'm regulating the voltage to 5 volt, which is further connected to a LED to turn it on. I hope you understood how to make a 5 volt regulator circuit with 5 volt 7805 IC. Let's look at some interesting things we can do with our Tinkercad circuits. First, we can simulate complex circuit over Tinkercad due to its amazing user interface. We can also program our components using Arduino microcontroller. We can do block-based coding and text-based coding using Tinkercad circuits on microcontroller boards. We can also export our circuit for manufacturing a real PCB circuits. Wow, this app is really cool. Now it's a question time. As always, I'm putting a few interesting questions over screen. Can we regulate 5 volt back to the 9 volt? As we did 9 volt to 5 volt in this session using 7805 voltage regulator IC. Try to find out, is there any way so that we can regulate 5 volt to 9 volt? The answer is hidden there in the lab itself. What electronic component is used to step up the voltage in any circuit? Try to find out and discuss answer among yourself. We'll be learning to build more such amazing circuit over Tinkercad in our another lecture. I hope you liked it. Our innovative videos will keep you glued and engaged. Keep watching our series of videos. Keep tinkering and innovating.